They're like, I know it sounds crazy to think that, yeah, you could have people even more to the right, but yes, that is possible. So they're all meeting.
Yeah, basically they started a coalition to get him elected, and now he's trying to do whatever he can to make sure he gets reelected, and that kind of explains the situation we're in. But anyway, they've got a meeting here with all these ministers, and it's regarding the ceasefire that we're talking about. So Israel is saying that even if there's a temporary ceasefire, they will continue war, quote, until we achieve all of our goals. They continue to say, or he continues to say, we're at war and we'll continue the war. We'll continue till we reach all our goals. And the whole cabinet's now meeting to discuss the potential hostage deal.
And that seems to be the big thing, obviously, is, I mean, Hamas took somewhere around 200-ish hostages, and a lot of them from the October 7th attacks. It seems like, now we're talking about maybe swapping, yesterday we touched on this as well, swapping maybe maybe 50, something like that, Israelis, also for some Palestinian prisoners. So there's some kind of like literal human exchange going on as well as a pause. I wonder what's taking so long. Is it this sort of public rhetoric of Israel that's delaying the ability of the deal to actually happen, or are they trying to save face? What do you think?
That's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if it's their own internal politics right now that's taken a while, since, his coalition probably wants more extreme than he does. He's probably at this point the voice of reason within that group of people who's trying to kind of find that middle ground, at least temporarily.
Yeah, it's a good point. With any kind of political situation, especially something as traumatic as a war, you're going to have a big voice within Israel that says, just end Palestine completely. Just there will be no more Palestine. And then, of course, you have that same on the other side, which is, when we hear the songs of, from the river to the sea, which is the reference of basically eliminate the Israeli state completely. So you have those sort of extreme factions, and somehow you have to negotiate a middle ground. But how do you negotiate a middle ground? Well, one of the parties is Hamas, and the other is basically their political survival is relying on essentially the furthest to the right in Israel, which is pro just get rid of all of Palestine. It's very, very, very difficult political situation. And that's usually what happens in these conflicts, which makes them take so much longer than we expect. So we knew the invasion would at least, it seemed like it would start quickly. And once it got progressed, it would progress very quickly, which seems to be what's happening. But the actual end of it, that's always the hardest part. Like how long does it take to get the end part? That'll take forever.
We're sending Blinken back over there. Anthony Blinken's going next week.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, last time he went, the goal was to try to rein in Israel's attack. Oops, it didn't work. Israel is now deep, as we saw on the map we had yesterday. So, I find it interesting, and I hope we come to a resolution. But honestly, we say that every day. Every day we want a solution, but every day, every bomb that goes off, we're still seeing 7 to 15 people on average dying. We do know that the U.S. is planning a $320 million weapons transfer to Israel. This is interesting because it's basically the Biden admin trying to skirt around the fact that they're not getting their funding yet, because they're trying to get 14. Actually, they're trying to get $106 billion package, Israel, Taiwan, Ukraine funding, all within that. And Republicans have so far only authorized about 14 of that, which Biden's like, hey, look, it's give me all my money or nothing. So I guess the Israelis don't need the money that badly right now. Or is Blinken going over there with bags of cash?
Oh, I wonder.
Or Bitcoin.
We'll touch up on that in a little bit too. But while we're on international news, you want to hear some North Korea developments?
Oh, yes. Oh, Mr. Rocket Man developments, which will lead into Trump.
That's right.
Rocket Man. What's Rocket Man?
Rocket Man is Satellite Man now. They launched a spy satellite.
Oh, so it was a satellite, because I think yesterday while we were live, there was talk about a rocket being launched. We're like, oh no, here we go again, right? Of course, North Korea is always like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, nothing.
So, war with Atlantis. Yeah.
Undersea. Under the sea.
But this is their third attempt to launch a satellite this year. So supposedly this time it finally worked. This is per North Korea, so take it with a grain of salt. But officials in South Korea and Japan, they can't verify if the launch had happened, but they're saying that they believe that Russia, Moscow, is behind some of the assistance to get the satellite into space.
Wow. Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, so many of the sanctions hitting Russia have made it harder and more expensive for Russia to get access to oftentimes what are a lot of American chips and parts for aerospace and satellites and otherwise. But I wouldn't be surprised if North Korea is like, look, our satellite has arrived. I don't know why I have that accent. But then it's like, does it work?
Our satellite has arrived. Yeah, I can
exactly.
reiterate that again.
The satellite is in orbit. It's kind of like Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, yesterday. So is Sam Altman going to come work for you? We look forward to partnering with Sam Altman. Is he going to be an employee of yours? We think he's going to do great working with Microsoft in the future.
We're looking forward to the future. We're the leaders in both, right?
SLMs and LLs. Oh, God. Yeah. Red Cross here, by the way, I just saw coming across here, would be allowed to access remaining hostages in proposed deal. So basically, the Red Cross would then be able to go in and account for all of the hostages, which it actually would be so wonderful because when you have families who have members of their family who are hostages, they're freaking out in their neighborhoods, in their communities. They're like, basically end Palestine, because these are, they've lost any ability to really negotiate, because it's like, that's family, right? It's like, as a politician, I hate to say it, but like the reality is, when you're dealing with other people's lives, you're trying to balance in a negotiation. Okay, how do we balance this? When it's your family, there's no negotiating. It's give me my family back, I'm going to kill your ass. Mm-hmm. You're like, I would be the same way. Mm-hmm. Anyone would be that way. That's normal. But the point of me bringing this up with the Red Cross is, if the Red Cross is able to verify, hey, XYZ, these people, this list of people, they're healthy, they're safe, they're okay. We have just verified it. Now you have an independent account to say, like, at least give that hope and remove some of the anxiety from family members, which I think is a way of actually de-escalating some of the problems. Though the tensions will still exist, but that would be a way towards negotiating more of a ceasefire deal and actually getting progressed in ending this conflict, because otherwise there just won't be a Gaza anymore. It's pretty terrible. What do you think?
Yeah, at the end of the day, emotion is a blocker of logic. Like, no matter how logical of a person you are, as soon as you feel a strong emotion, whatever it is,
it's over.
You're seeing red. So at least, like, this will give some assurance, have people calm down, and then we can kind of hopefully become a little bit more logical and discuss like how to move forward.
100%. Because until then, just more people are going to die, including a lot of innocent people. And so that's terrible. But again, I want to be very clear and as sympathetic as possible here to the people who are losing family members involved in this. I would be exactly like those people. If this happened to any one of my family members, I'd be losing it. So it's a terrible thing. Looks like Hamas, there's a quote, the Israeli government spokesperson, Hamas is begging for a breather because they're getting clubbered. Of course, Israel would say that. It's probably, if you read the Hamas propaganda, it's probably Israel is begging for a ceasefire because
Israel's on the brink of defeat. We've almost got this.
Yeah. Look at us putting a bomb on their tank as it drives by. There's so many of those videos on Telegram, by the way. They're just walking up to the tanks and putting bombs. Here's a bomb, and then they run away. I'm thinking to myself, my understanding is that, at least the theoretically, and again, theory versus actual war reality, but theoretically, if you have a tank, you should have infantry around it to prevent somebody from being able to walk up and place a bomb on the tank. So I don't know if there's just like is there a lack of IDF forces? Is there a lack of coordination? Is there a reason why? I don't know. I haven't quite figured that part out yet. But there are definitely some of the things that we're seeing on video where I'm like, what training is this? It's just odd. And again, I know war isn't perfect, so I'm not expecting it to be like, look at our excellent skills and talents and everything's perfect, because war is not perfect. But it just happens over and over and over again. I'm like, these are very expensive units with, then you've got, 3 or 4 service members inside dying to one bomb. When if you had a few people walking outside, we could defend against that. Of course, the question then is: are there snipers? Are there individuals with AKs around the corner that are essentially shooting potential infantry folks? But then the question is, do you do as you often see in military, which is here's your tank, and then infantry and ground forces move in with snipers behind to clear some of the path for the tanks in front of the tanks. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe somebody smarter than me in military tactics has some insight into that. But
yeah, I'd love to see someone with military tactics post a comment about it.
I'm sure they're watching us.
Yeah, right. Like, let's see what Kevin and Mikey have to say about military. But
let's correct them.
I agree with you. And I think usually they do have ground infantry around them. in a case like this where you're in the home territory of Hamas and you're fighting guerrilla warfare,
that's what it is.
They're vulnerable. So maybe they thought they would be less vulnerable this way.
Everything's vulnerable. I mean, you go in there with the tank alone. I mean, it's like the combat triangle, right? If you send one force in, there's always a weakness that's going to get hit. So is it then a lack of drone or air support? Is it a lack of? I mean, if you had infrared surveillance above with drones, I feel like you'd be at least able to get a little bit of a heads up or some kind of stuff. I don't know. But either way, so there are definitely some things where I'm wondering, like, is this as easy for Israel as we're concerned? You know? So anyway, so we'll see. But slow progress. What's crazy though is at the same time is oil really isn't really getting hit. And this has happened in previous conflicts before where oil's stable when there's a problem with Israel and Hamas. So this isn't terribly unusual, but it is, I suppose the length that this has gone on now, we're now 6 weeks into this. 6 weeks already. That's wild. Oil trending down still. Okay. All right. I mean, I'll take it, but I'd like to see it end.
Israel's not really a huge exporter of oil. I think they do have natural gas reserves, but even that I think is a drop in the bucket.
I think people are just worried, and then I thought at least there'd be some speculation about like, oh well, you know, maybe Iran will get involved, and then their oil production will go down. So it'd be like a second order effect of reduction. But no, markets are like, yeah,
or the Saudis. But I guess that's why the Saudis are staying out of this. They're like, we're just gonna make some money on the side for now, and we'll get back to you.
And if oil prices go up, don't worry, we will sell you more oil. It's just kind of wild. Okay, so what else? So what happened? So North Korea got their satellite up. We don't know if it actually works or functions, but while they're cheering about getting that up, what else?
I mean, that's basically it for North Korea. They told Japan, like, by December 1st, we're going to have a satellite up there. And they tried. This was their third attempt, and it seems to have worked. To your point, I don't know if it actually does anything. But supposedly they've got a satellite up in space now, lower Earth orbit.
Wow. Okay. All right. So then we've got some Trump news.
Oh, you want to hear Donny?
Oh, I want to hear Donny. Tell me what Donny and Biden have for us today.
Donny went on a posting spree on Truth Social. I've got one on the screen. I can show you a couple examples here.
Yeah, let's pull them up there, Ken, if you don't mind. We got Ken helping us today. Shout out to Ken. Thank you, Ken.
You got this, buddy. Hey, so he just kind of went on a posting spree, like video after video, and I'll just show you an example.
A very special congratulations to Javier Milei on a great race for president of Argentina. The whole world was watching, and I am very proud of you. You will turn your country around and truly make Argentina great again. Congratulations.
Trump talks like a parody of Trump.
It's like the Twitter parody accounts, eh?
But he went on a huge posting spree. Like the Black Shadows here. These are all videos. Fake political cases brought against me. He rants about this. One of my greatest honors as president, terminating the globalist monstrosity known as the Trans-Pacific Partnership. My first day in office. This is a 2.5 minute. But look, he went. This is all today.
This is all today.
In a
there
span
was
of
one
like
about
an hour.
Georgia. Let's see if we could find the Georgia one because I briefly saw something about Georgia in the 2000 ballots. Let's find. I wanted to see what that is. There was something I saw about it somewhere. I got to figure out where it was, but I thought it was on Trump's Truth Social feed. But anyway, we'll take a peek around to see what we can find regarding that. Is Donny T? What was it? I saw another headline today about Donny T potentially running out of money, and I'm like, "There's no way." I'm gonna look into that one really quick. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
No. Okay, all right.
I also don't necessarily believe it.
No, yeah, I don't believe either of the things, but I wanted to see the both arguments. So we'll have to find both of these. What else on Donny T? And I'll get some insight on this.
I just have that long list of videos if you wanted to watch any of those.
Okay, gotcha. So well, let's see them one by one. What are some of those headlines? No, the only thing I have on his finances right now is he had $425 million in cash. That's a lot of money in cash. Well, that's a lot. He's not going to run out of money anytime soon. And quite frankly, I think any indictment news there is, he ends up just raising more and more money. The crowdfunding of Donald Trump is really impressive. So what else do we have here?
Oh, we can watch this one. The fake political cases brought against me could have been filed years ago.
Yeah, let's see
These fake political cases brought against me could have been filed many years ago. But these crooked and biased prosecutors working closely with my political opponents in Washington, D.C., crooked Joe Biden and his group waited and waited and waited and then filed them right in the middle of my campaign for president. They could have filed them years ago. Why do you think that Fonnie and Alvin and Letitia and, of course, the deranged one, Jack Smith, took so long and very publicly, they leaked everything, started their work so late? They could have started it years ago. It's called election interference and prosecutorial misconduct. And it's all done because they want to win an election, even if they have to use illegal means to do it.
Yeah. So I guess what's going on right now in Fulton with Georgia is you've got one of his co-defendants, Trump's co-defendants, having basically, he was about to have his bond revoked over tweets against the judge, but he dodged having his bond revoked. So far, it seems like as individuals are, under the cover of these partial gag orders, a lot of people around Trump seem to be somewhat sticky in terms of actually really getting punished so far. So it'll be quite fascinating to see how these things evolve as well. And I can't find where anything was on the ballot, so maybe I misunderstood that. But so we'll ignore that. Okay, good. Anything then on Donny T, because otherwise it sounds like it's really into repeating some of the things that we're pretty familiar with so far.
Unless you want to hear specifically about his voter ID, why the Democrats are so against voter ID.
Sure, we can hear that.
We'll end it on this one.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on this too after. Wait, come on.
Loading.
I guess.
Pinwheel.
I'll refresh.
That's all right.
Let's see if this
No
works.
radical left Democrat politician has ever been able to explain why their party is so rabidly opposed to voter ID. And that's the biggest giveaway of all, that they are cheating on a monumental scale. They don't want voter ID because they want to cheat. For years, Democrat politicians have claimed that voter ID is racist, but there's nothing racist about an ID. And the suggestion that Democrat voters are incapable of getting driver's licenses is one of the most offensive ideas in American life today. What century are these radical Democrats living in? Americans of all colors and creeds are fully capable of obtaining identification, which is required to drive a car, buy a beer, see an R-rated movie, get on an airplane, get a bank account, check into a hotel, and even to get cold medicine at a pharmacy. Over 80% of Americans support voter ID. Yet in the last Congress, every single Democrat in the House of Representatives voted to ban voter ID nationwide. So the House of Representatives votes, and all of the Democrats voted to ban voter ID nationwide. That's because they cheat. And with their policies, which are so bad and so destructive, especially to our cities, our inner cities, no wonder they have to cheat, because nobody could get elected with those policies. In the anti-Democrat party, only two things are sacred: open borders and no voter ID. They want open borders to destroy our country, and they don't want voter ID because they want to cheat. There's only one reason why you'd support either of these insane ideas, and that's because you intend to cheat like crazy, and that's what they do. When I'm reelected, we will secure our borders, and we will launch a nationwide campaign to get voter ID in every federal, state, and local election. What we really want to do is get down to paper ballots, one-day voting, and voter ID, and we're going to have safe elections again. Thank you very much.
So I want to know what your thoughts are on his new wig and then on voter IDs.
Oh, yeah. Well, the hair's looking good. However, he pulls it off, real or fake. Although it's always funny seeing their videos of people like, go ahead, pull my hair. And, and it doesn't come off. So I don't know. Is it planted? Or are they pulling softly? Anyway, so regarding actually voter ID, obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but the reason that voter ID has been opposed is because of very impoverished communities or elderly communities where you don't have a driver's license. You have to get an ID from the DMV as well. It's basically the same thing as getting a driver's license. You get an ID. And some people just don't have either of those. I mean, you walk to work or whatever, but you're legal and, maybe you're a roommate somewhere or whatever. So utility bills aren't in your name. You're trying to get started. You have a job. But theoretically, there should be a way to identify yourself. Can you bring a pay stub? Well, that doesn't have a photo of yourself. Okay, so you have to go to the DMV. Well, who's going to give you time off to go get that? And so basically, Democrats have seen this as a barrier to impoverished or elderly generations from being able to, or a barrier for them to be able to vote. Obviously, the flip side argument of that is what Donald Trump said, which if you notice how he speaks, he says the same thing like 4 or 5 times to really drill it home. They don't like voter ID because they want to cheat. I think he said that line in, how long was that? 3 minutes? 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Yeah. So 2.5 minutes, he said that line probably 5 or 6 times. That's the one salient thing you remember when you hear Donald Trump speak. He consistently reiterates his main point. They don't want voter ID because they want to cheat. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that is a reason Democrats, as I said, the elderly and impoverished, have opposed voter ID. Now, I personally think some form of voter ID is good. And let me just put it this way. Voter ID, picture voter ID, I think that should be a requirement. And the way to solve impoverished or elderly not having ID is make sure everybody has the money and capability to get an ID. So then help the impoverished community. Hey, here, we'll pay you a few hours to go to the DMV, or we'll come to you to make sure you have an ID, and then do some kind of IDing campaigns or whatever, where, I don't know, go do mobile ID services where you come around with a van, you're like, you need an ID or whatever, bring your birth certificate or something that day, right? And we'll take your fingerprints and get you an ID, just like they do at the DMV. So I think that would be the way to solve the ID problem with seniors and impoverished, rather than saying, oh, you don't need an ID to vote. I definitely think it would be good, especially for convincing people that elections are more free and transparent and not rigged, is make sure everybody has some form of picture ID that they actually show. Or better yet, even you have the IDs now where you could scan them or you swipe them through or whatever, and they match as to whether or not, it's a valid ID or not. I think that's fantastic. We should be doing that. So maybe instead of worrying about why people need picture IDs to vote and how that might be unfair to impoverished or seniors, make sure everybody needs an ID and then make sure everybody gets an ID. So solve both of those problems. As far as, I wrote down another couple things that Trump said. He said, go to paper ballots and one-day voting. So Democrats historically are much more likely to use absentee ballots.
Yeah.
Of course, Donald Trump's going to say that's to cheat. I'm in California. I love the little mail-in ballot. I never mail it, but I get it. I fill it out, and then I go drop it off in the little mailbox because my round trip to do that is 5 minutes. So when I close the envelope, my round trip to vote is 5 minutes, because it's 2.5 minutes to the government center and back. It's down Telephone Road and back. And I don't even park. Well, I just pull up next to the curb and go, bloop, drop it in the little lockbox, and I come back home. So whatever, 5-10 minutes, whatever. And that makes it very easy and accessible to vote. Whereas if somebody's like, all right, you're going to have to stand in line for 2 hours to vote, or there's even a risk that I have to stand in line, I just won't vote. That sounds terrible. It's you don't want to vote. You don't want to do your civic duty because you might have to stand in line. Yeah, that's right. I got shit to do. So I'll vote, but I just want to drop it in the box. And we'll put our little signature on it, and we can, but the problem is, how then do you do voter ID? Well, we have ways of figuring that out. Put a little machine that's swipe your ID card or whatever, and then drop your ballot in. It's kind of like when you go sell an iPhone to those little terminals or whatever. All right, we're going to scan your phone, and then the door opens up and your little thing could be totally fine with that. But I'm not interested in waiting.
And then maybe scans your envelope after that to make sure the name matches.
They match. Exactly. They could even compare the signature. Yeah. It could all literally be done in one little machine. It could all be done. Compare signature, ID. Take my picture. I don't care. But I'm not waiting in line. So if you go to one-day voting, you realize the lines that we have now for polling places would be 4 times as long.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be insane. We would go from having 160 million votes cast, I almost guarantee it, to 25 mil. We would go down by a sixth, or I'm sorry, by 5/6 we would go down if the entire country had to vote on one day. So, but I don't think Trump is actually pushing for that. I think if he was going to pick one of his favorites out of all those, go for the voter ID. I would support him for that one, 100%. Go for the voter ID.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of elderly tend to vote right, like compared to the youth, which tends to vote left. Obviously, not as a hard rule, but that tends to be the pattern there. So if you have all these barriers to voting, whether it's a time constraint or something like getting an ID, I think those actually impact the elderly less than they would like somebody younger, because an elderly person, for the most part, like, yeah, they'll sit around for a few hours and they'll vote. Yeah,
and they generally, like you say, they'll vote. Younger people are like, man, it ain't gonna make a difference anyway. It does. It brings more money to your zip code. That's the way I think of voting. Is like every vote tallied means there are active voters there, so you get more donation money. Fiscal spending in your area. So, okay, interesting. So all right, well, that gives us a little bit on Trump there. What else we got?
All right, we got some cryptocurrency stuff to talk about.
Oh my gosh, dude, CZ, I am so happy that guy is
you called that. Oh, you called that so long ago.
That, you know, every time I bash him, there is like an army though of CZ, just like bots or whatever. People love this guy. Yeah, did you see his tweet?
No, what's his tweet?
He just tweeted, it looks like. I'm gonna, actually, if you don't mind, maybe you can pull it up, and then Ken, you could throw it on screen. I'll start reading it here. So today, I stepped down as CEO of Binance. Admittedly, it was not easy to let go emotionally, but I know it is the right thing to do. Of course it's the right thing to do, because you're a freaking fraud loser who violated anti-money laundering laws, sanctions laws. There are reports coming out now that allegedly, probably likely, they facilitated crypto transactions for Hamas, Taliban, ISIS. Yeah, like this is like somebody who supports no anti-money laundering supervision is basically supporting terrorists directly, and the terrorist funding. This is how Iran gets money to Hamas so they can go kill innocent people at a music festival and promote a retaliatory attack that kills more innocent people. Binance, by facilitating money transactions for terrorist organizations, if that is indeed true, and I'm going to call that an allegation, but I believe it's true because we know CZ's been very, very shady. So anyway, I believe it's true. Then CZ has straight up blood on his hands. He is straight up a scumbag terrorist supporter with blood on his hands. So I'm so grateful, and I hope this guy goes to jail for a long time. It's almost worse than Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know that Sam Bankman-Fried had terrorists on his network. I'd be very curious to know. But anyway, I'll keep reading. Binance is no longer a baby. Yeah, it's a grown-up fraud. It's time for me to let it walk and run. No, you got forced out, you dumbass. I know Binance will continue to grow and excel with the deep bench it has. Good luck, because now you're actually going to have to implement AML. It's not like they're going to be like pay 4 bills, step down, and then just keep doing your shady stuff. Now they're actually going to have to implement regulatory policies. Good luck. I'm pleased to announce that Richard Tang is going to be the poor sap responsible for it. Our former head of regional markets has been named the new CEO today. Richard is highly qualified with over 3 decades of financial services and regulatory experience. He will. Well, that was probably greenlit by the DOJ. I don't think they would let him appoint somebody who didn't have regulatory experience. So probably a good choice. He will navigate the company through the next period of growth. He will ensure Binance delivers on our next phase of security, transparency, compliance. They added that in, and growth.
You mean our first phase of
yeah, going back to square one. Prior to joining Binance, he did some finance stuff in Singapore, Abu Dhabi, corporate finance of Singapore. Great. Okay. Richard and the entire team confident the best days of Binance are ahead. As a shareholder and former CEO with historical knowledge of our company, I remain available to the team to consult as needed, consistent with the framework set out in our U.S. agency resolutions. What's next for me? I will take a break. I've not had a single day off, I'm assuming, real phone off break for the last 6.5 years. Well, like very few people turn their phone off for a whole day. But okay. After that, my current thinking is I will probably do some passive investing. Oh my God, no. No. This guy's setting up himself for VC.
Oh no.
He's setting himself
Yeah,
up
you're
to
right.
be a VC.
What else could that be? Yeah.
Oh, after that, my current thinking is I will do some passive investing, being a minority token / shareholder in startups in areas of blockchain, Web3, DeFi, AI, and biotech. I mean, he's basically just listing everything he can scam people in.
Yep.
I'm happy that I will finally have more time to spend looking at DeFi. What do you mean? You've been running DeFi. Binance. I know it's centralized, obviously, and Binance is not technically DeFi. But anyway, that's fine. I was making a bad joke about it not being regulated. But anyway, I can see myself being a CEO driving a startup again. Look, he's inviting. He is literally inviting right here a some rich VC. Watch. Andreessen Horowitz, after this DOJ investigation and the SEC investigation is done, Andreessen Horowitz comes out and goes, "We're pleased to announce CZ has a new $1 billion startup. We have invested $300 million. His website is gosuckit.com." And then you go to that website and it's like, "Go Suck It, coming soon," which is literally the same thing as flow.com. The guy who did WeWork goes bankrupt twice with WeWork, I use the same numbers, gets $300 million for Flow. The website is Flow, I think, .io or whatever.
I think so.
Yeah. And then it's like coming soon at $1 billion valuation, gets $300 million handed to him. I'm like, these people are totally incapable of running legitimate businesses. Yet, because they have some form of notoriety, they keep getting hundreds of millions of dollars thrown at them. The VC system is a broken disaster. That's why, like, before COVID, I had respect for the VCs, but then I realized they're just a bunch of idiots trying to sell shares to greater fools. That's what inspired me to sell HouseHack shares at a 1-to-1 valuation. There's zero premium in there. Zero. We're not even fundraising right now. We closed around for 2023. But the point is, that's it. Anyway, okay.
Keep going.
So,
all right.
Should there be listeners, I may be open to being a coach / mentor. How many different businesses has this guy just offered to launch? This guy just offered to become a venture capitalist, to become a CEO at a new startup, or to start selling mentorship services on how to be a fraud. This guy has literally just pitched 3 different business ideas. Oh my, put this guy in jail. One note that I'm proud to point out is that in our resolutions with U.S. agencies, they do not allege Binance misappropriated user funds. Bro, you scumbag. The SEC is alleging that.
Yeah.
The Department of Justice.
13 different charges against them by the SEC.
That's a totally different case. What are some of the charges?
Let's
see if we can pull them in the meantime, because I have a piece that I put together. I have the entire SEC lawsuit.
It's all kinds of securities laws violations and CFTC as well.
CFTC, I think, is now settling with DOJ, so combined. So SEC remains open, but I'm thinking to myself, like, there's no way that the SEC is not, and I want to fact check this. There's no way they're not alleging potential risk with consumer funds. So I'll get to the bottom of it. Yeah, I have the CFTC lawsuit. I need to get the SEC lawsuit, because that's the next one. But we'll get to the bottom of that. Again, okay, good. So, is this it? Binance.us. In the matter of Binance US versus the SEC, this is from Jan 27. Oh, there's so many of them, man.
Yeah.
There's so many different complaints. This actually might take a little
There's
bit
also some against CZ specifically, not Binance. And then there's some against their, BAM or BAM Trading Services, which is their affiliate. So those are the 3 entities that are getting the SEC lawsuits. Or charges, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get to the bottom of that with the SEC lawsuit. I'll end up pulling that up. So in the meantime, can you read the rest of that statement? I'll find it really quick. I didn't even finish. So pissing me off.
They do not allege that Binance misappropriated any user funds and do not allege that Binance engaged in any market manipulation. That's basically it. With that, I look forward to seeing the new leadership take the reins. Please join me in congratulating Richards on his well-deserved promotion. Onwards, 7.4 million views.
Yeah, both of those things are things that I'm pretty sure the SEC is on him for. Like you said here, 13 charges where CZ, and Binance entities engaged in an extensive web of deception, conflicts of interest, lack of disclosure, and calculated evasion of the law. Zhao and Binance misled investors about their risk controls and corrupted trading volumes while actively concealing who was operating the platform, the manipulative trading of its affiliated market maker, and even with whom investor funds and crypto assets were custodied.
But it says here they didn't engage in market manipulation or misappropriate user funds. He said it on X.
He's still a fraud. It's like, it's so frustrating that now on Twitter, you're going to have a bunch of people that are CZ supporters going, well, I mean, the Department of Justice didn't allege that he misappropriated user funds or that they were a fraud. And like, yeah, that's right. The Department of Justice didn't. They allege that they financed terrorists and committed wire fraud. The SEC is alleging market manipulation and violations of consumer custody rules. This is scary. So this is not over for Binance. This guy's acting like he's scot-free.
Yeah.
He's literally acting like everything is fine. In fact, let me be your CEO. Let me be your coach and mentor. Let me run a VC. You're going to jail.
He's panicking. This is just denial and panic.
I think so. Well, he's trying to save face too with the public. Right. So at the same time as like denial, save face, it's kind of like, don't worry, I may have gone to court today and I may be getting sentenced, but don't worry, everything is fine. You know, the Department of Justice, they just want to bring us into compliance and we're working with them. Don't mind the fact that they're charging us $4.3 billion to do that. Don't mind the fact that that's 43 times as high as the BitMEX settlement. That guy went to jail for 6 to 12 months or whatever. What else? What
They
else?
never found me guilty of murder, though.
You should make a list.
Yeah. Okay. The things he's not found guilty of probably be shorter than the things that they're finding him guilty of. But so Binance agreed to pay $1.81 billion for within 15 months of the sentencing. So
so I knew it would be in pieces in time.
Yes.
15
months. That's Binance 1.81 billion. And then the company also consented to forfeiture in the amount of 2.51 billion.
Okay, so a lot of these things are going to be it's going to be like an over the time payment. I think they realize like you guys can't afford $4 billion.
I think so.
You'd be bankrupt, and then we won't get any of it because if they just go bankrupt, then the government gets nothing. But if they bring them into compliance, they get rid of the bad actors, and then they milk them for all their profit for the next 10 years.
Speaking of compliance, their former chief compliance officer. He's part of this too, so he's going to be charged as part of the settlement.
Oh, thank God. God, yeah. Well, what compliance did they have?
No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Whatever. So, I mean, let me look at. I want to look at some of the replies. Oh my God. First reply, CZ, you are one of the great heroes on the front lines of an epic struggle. You should be immensely proud. And then hashtag end the Fed. Like, what does Jerome have to do with this?
Right.
What did Jerome do? Bro, what the hell? Oh, it's like, well, he prints money. Well, then just blame the institutions of the United States government, which, man, what did the Fed? Oh, my God.
That's funny.
Jesus. Thank you for your service, CZ. Thanks for being a fraud. Okay, and then, of course, they've got a what are those worth now? The crypto punks?
No.
I wonder. No, I'm gonna look. I mean, it's probably all just fake and manipulated trading, but let's figure it out. Crypto punks. Let's see how much these suckers are worth now. Larva Labs. Okay. Thanks for everything, CZ. The prophecy is complete. The new era begins. You've done a great job. Enjoy your time off. May legends never die. It is an understatement to say you deserve a break. Yeah, frauding's hard work.
Wow, there's so many bots on this thread.
I mean, like, they must be. They must be because you can't. Can you be that dumb?
Oh, but Kevin, they have blue
fraud?
check marks. How can they be bots?
Oh! I don't know. I don't know. It looks like, okay, the last, what do we have here? Sales, bids. Okay, for sale. Okay, $109,000 for CryptoPunk still.
Wow.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Well, I mean, they used to be 500K, I think was about the floor in the past. So they've definitely come down, but I'm actually surprised they're still over
still
100K.
more than a down payment on a house. That's crazy.
No kidding, man. No freaking kidding. Don't let all of this regulatory stuff destroy your spirit. Soon enough, all these agencies will come back on their words, acknowledging crypto is perfectly fine. What are these? Are these all employees of Binance or something?
These all have to be bots. It's like nonstop positive. I love this one. Enjoy the time off, sir. Congrats on all this finally being over with and being able to move on to what's next. He's going to jail. What do you mean? It's
Like he's getting not only that, but he's also still got to deal with the SEC.
right. Could you imagine like handcuffs on you? They're taking you away, and someone's just like, enjoy your vacation. Like, we'll see you when you get back. Like, enjoy the time off.
So ridiculous. Like, a part of me wonders if these people leaving comments are not just bots. I think, you know what I think they are? I think they're like 15-year-old kids. Like when I'm like, but then can you even be that stupid at 15? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, what if you're just so suckered into it and you're 14 and you have your NVIDIA 3060 crypto miner, which is like a really old crap and cheap. But anyway, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get rich off crypto or whatever. And you're speculating, I'll never have to work a day in my life by the time I'm 18, that kind of speculation. And then these are the people coming out in droves in the comments. It sounds moronic to me. I have no idea. All these, it's sad, bro. It's literally a fraud. It's literally a fraud. Somebody here says he's definitely not going to jail, Kev. Sorry, I bet you 2 speckles. I mean, that's possible. The only reason that would be possible is I think if the government thinks that CZ needs to be in a role to keep actually the business somewhat alive to repay all of the money. But there got to be some kind of big old sanctions here against this guy. Personally, I think he's going to jail. At the very least, it's probation. So I'll make a bet right now. My bet is 5 to 10 years probation, 6 to 24 months jail. That's my bet. So 5 to 10 years probation, 6 to 24 months prison, jail, whatever.
I wouldn't bet against you. That actually sounds pretty reasonable.
If it's more than that, then we just know he was even more of a scumbag, which, I mean, I think he was. But what is interesting is he'll probably get sentenced around the same time Sam Bankman-Fried gets sentenced. So what's interesting is
cellmates.
It's not only cellmates, but also they might use the SBF sentencing for a precedent for Zao.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So if Sam Bankman-Fried gets 60 years, let's say, like a Bernie or whatever. I can't remember what we were debating with
Madoff,
that.
yeah. I think he's going to get it a little bit more than 60, but carry on, yeah.
If he gets that, then it depending on how. But then again, we didn't have customers lose. Like, did we have customers lose money? I mean, this is the allegations here are wire fraud, potential misuse of customer money. But is it as bad as people lose it? Basically, literally losing access to $4 to $6 billion of money. I don't know. I guess we might not know because he pled guilty. So there's no discovery that we're going to hear.
It's kind of like when we were talking about the Trump manipulating the numbers to get all these loans. Like, if there was no victim, was it still a crime?
Yeah,
it's kind of that conversation again.
It's certainly like I would say a victimless crime is still a crime, but it's definitely less bad than a victim-filled crime. Like the same crime, one, there's no victims, and in another, there are a lot of victims, and people had to go bankrupt because of you. Certainly the victim one deserves a higher punishment. They both deserve to be punished. So yeah, I could see I could almost see like what I said, that 6 to 24 months on a CZ and like 60 years for Sam Bankman-Fried. But we'll see. It'll all depend on the I guess what the courts decide.
Someone is saying, SBF's going to prison for 110 years. That's the maximum possible sentencing. We don't actually know how long he's going to prison for.
And usually they don't go max.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't plead guilty. He pled not guilty. So that could push, like what I would do if I were the judge for a not guilty plea, and I've seen judges do this
Start
before.
Halfway and then work up from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's there's 0, there's 110. What's the midpoint? Okay, 55. He pled not guilty, and he was a douchebag during testimony. Okay, let's add 10 years. That's something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we're not done with, it doesn't end with Binance. Kraken's in trouble too.
Oh yeah, what happened with them?
So they're being sued by the SEC as well for
the SEC. I have to say, they're going after these folks. Now, I wish the SEC would have just regulated in the first place, but Congress never gave them the authorization to do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it sucks on all sides. What it really sucks for is like all the users who got hurt or lost money. That's where it really sucks. But anyway, okay, tell me about Kraken.
So they were operating as a securities exchange without registering. That's what the lawsuit alleges here. So Kraken intends to defend itself.
Of course.
They're saying Congress should decide how to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges.
Correct.
And calls the SEC view of digital assets, quote, incorrect as a matter of law, false as a matter of fact, and disastrous as a matter of policy.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard like these lawsuits by the SEC claiming that crypto is a security so many times now. It needs to be decided, and it's either going to be a judge that decides it or Congress that decides it. So basically, it's going to be a judge that decides it because Congress ain't going to do jack shit.
It's so my understanding right now too is like Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are not considered securities, but when you have these initial coin offerings and you're trying to fundraise money for these different companies, that's the gray area where they are considering them securities right now.
Yeah, I believe that. It all comes from, are you expecting, like the big simple bottom line is, are you expecting profits from the efforts of other people?
Yeah.
So like, for example, somebody invests in HouseHack, which is a security. Then you are expecting profits on the efforts of everybody working for HouseHack, our startup. And it is a security. Your investment is a security. Now, the question then is, like, at what point is a token that represents the value of a corporation that is trying to create some kind of utility a security? That's where the question is. But then you look at something like Bitcoin, it's like, okay, who's the company?
Right. In a case like that where it's decentralized,
like a commodity.
I think that's why like Bitcoin and Ethereum are getting the pass.
Right. But then the debate now is on Ethereum is, oh, but they're staking. And some people run the pools. It's like, so you have three extremes. You have, it's fundraising for your company, it's Bitcoin, and it's basically a commodity. And then you have Ethereum, which is like somewhere closer to Bitcoin probably, but still in three. So it's no surprise to me that Congress hasn't done anything because nobody knows what to do. Judges are going to punt this for years. It's actually just ridiculous because it's kind of like the government's just like, you guys just all fight it out. But it's not fair because it puts it then on people to litigate, and it costs millions of dollars in attorney's fees for people to fight and make arguments. But I guess that's what it takes to get shit done in America.
The SEC says Payward Incorporated, which Payward Ventures, this is Kraken, which they operate as Kraken, basically. They have since 2018... As Kraken? Have since 2018 made hundreds of millions of dollars arranging crypto purchases and sales while turning a blind eye to securities laws designed to protect investors. And Kraken was also accused of having deficient internal controls and inadequate record keeping, reflected in part in its customer money with its own and paying operating costs directly from customer accounts.
Wow. Those are some allegations. Will be really interesting to see what happens out of this. I see a comment here. Somebody writes, breaking: Binance founder CZ posted $175 million bond. That's a lot. Keep in mind, he is in Seattle with a condition that he returns to the United States 2 weeks before his sentencing. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm very curious to see when that sentencing is. But somebody here writes, crypto is a greater fool theory. I'm getting paid off by someone else buying it higher than me, not by somebody putting in the work. You can almost say that about anything. I mean, NVIDIA stock, greater fool. No, I actually really like NVIDIA stock though. So, but then again, I'm also invested in these stocks. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely true with like the meme stocks. It's like that's where like I'm going to buy it because I see it running and I hope that I can pass it on to somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100%. And that doesn't mean that there's not a potential that a meme euphoria could actually help a company survive. There's no doubt in my mind that AMC is not bankrupt today because of the meme euphoria. Had there been no meme euphoria, AMC would have been bankrupt a long time ago.
I think GameStop too.
Yeah, 100%. And GameStop, I want to look at one of their latest. I'm going to pull up really quick one of their latest investor relations pages because I'm very curious to see how they're doing. I mean, I think their transition to like selling like products in the stores has gone very poorly. I think they need to turn these into like entertainment meccas. We'll go back to like the OG GameStop days when I used to get my ass clapped in Call of Duty going to the tournaments.
I was about to ask,
the stores. Have
you played the new game or heard of the new Modern Warfare?
I haven't. I just play Rust. That's all I do.
I don't have the time either. But
anybody who plays Rust, join my Discord and leave a message and tag me in the general chat in Discord. So you just type into your browser, metkevin.com/join. That should work. metkevin.com/join. I think that's going to... Yeah. Oh, dang it, bro.
Find that page.
Okay, try Meet Kevin. meetkevin.com/join. Is it join? No. Oh, chat. Try. Hold on. meetkevin.com/chat. Dang it. metkevin.com/chat. I don't know what it is. No, that's it. It's it. Okay. metkevin.com/chat. metkevin.com/chat. That's the Discord invite. Tag me in general. You play Rust. Thursday wipes.
We were talking yesterday about that. Was it the Was it the Houthis or was it? Yeah, it was Houthis that were storming the
helicopter.
ship. Yeah, with the helicopter. This morning when I was
That
scrolling
edited
through,
video, dude.
yeah, it was hilarious. When I was scrolling through Reddit this morning, I saw that video again on the subreddit r/Rust.
No. Let's
So
go.
everyone's commenting like, I saw this and I thought this was like straight out of Rust. So
That's awesome.
that was hilarious.
So I pulled up GameStop here. Net cash flows from operating activities negative 211 million. We have capital expenditures of about 19 mil. So we're definitely losing money here. Net loss 53 mil. I want to see their capacity to survive and their net sales. Net sales basically flat year over year. Gross profit actually up a little bit year over year, about 8%. Just head math here, mental math. Could be a little off on those numbers. Go verify these. But what do we have in terms of assets? We've got cash marketables. They got money, man. $1.2 billion. Still have somewhere around $700 million of inventory and some prepaids here. So payables, bills to pay, 900. Yeah, they've got extra money here. So they still have a runway. They still, I mean, if they have a negative 200, what is that per 9 months? 6 months. They got at least another year of a runway. GameStop. So okay,
Maybe they'll catch the next rally.
That's true. That's true. Unless Vlad the Impaler comes around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike Vlad. I think he's a good guy. I think he got screwed by forces out of his control. I really believe that. I know a lot of people find that unpopular to say, but I don't know. I'm going to be very clear. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Robin Hood's, plan to stop the squeeze. Obviously we know Citadel involvement and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that was a regulatory oopsie doopsies that stepped in. Is like, you need this much money or stop trading that stock. And they're like, well, we're bankrupt if we can't.
Well, as a young boy growing up in Bulgaria, that was his deflection in Congress.
God. Yeah. His communication wasn't very good about it. Yeah. He shouldn't have been the communicator of it.
Sure.
You needed, what you really needed is like the finance net capital requirements suit coming out going, all right, boys and girls, here's the thing. This is how much money we have. This is how much money we need on a daily basis or have needed over the past 5 years. As you can see, the money we've needed over the past 5 years is here. The amount of money we have is here. However, on that GameStop stock, this regulatory agency said, if you want to keep trading the stock, you need that much money, So call them, and here's their phone number and email. I just thought they wouldn't appreciate that. But basically, like, deflect.
Yeah.
But I didn't convey that as well as he should have. He's like, it was a 5 Sigma event.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bro, sometimes it's just communication, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect at communicating myself, but that is an opinion that I have for sure. Anyway, Vlad is like CZ noobs use Robinhood. Ouch. Enzo is not very happy with Vlad. I don't think Vlad's like CZ, but maybe I don't know something. What do you know, Enzo? Aren't you supposed to be in Assassin's Creed? Like, aren't you supposed to be in Florence?
Enzo?
Yeah, wasn't that him?
Is that? I know it's the name of the
it was
Ferrari. The dude who Enzo Ferrari started the company.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Assassin's
Creed.
Creed.
Enzo, are your parents car enthusiasts? I wonder.
I'm pretty sure he's the Assassin's Creed guy, but we'll find out. Assassin's Creed, Italy, Medici family. I played that freaking thing so much. What was his name though? I thought it was Enzo. Lorenzo. No, that's Slan Lorenzo. I have no idea. I was pretty sure the character name was Enzo, but this doesn't matter. So whatever.
Well, speaking of cars, you want some Tesla news?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's Enzo?
It's Ezio. E-Z-I-O. Ezio Auditor da Firenze. Firenze. Okay, so that's of Florence, probably. So it's Ezio Auditor of Florence. Fictional character. Dang it, I was close.
Yeah, people are saying Ezio.
Oh, Ezio. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Ezio. Yeah, okay. All right, it was close. Damn it.
Tesla.
There's more.
More?
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Call now and receive 2. Yeah.
Ooh.
So, you know how they have idle fees at the superchargers? You fill up your car all the way.
Bro, I just got charged $5 for like the first time ever. I was so pissed.
Wait, where did you charge?
The Thousand Oaks supercharger.
That was busy.
I was in the Apple store and I had an appointment, and they're like, thanks for making an appointment and thanks for being on time. Now sit here for 30 minutes. And then I totally forgot I was supercharging. And I can't stand notifications, so I had them off. And then I get back and I'm like, fuck.
Rough.
Well, first world problems.
They are replacing, in some superchargers, those idle fees, replacing them with congestion fees. So if it's a busy supercharger and you're past, now granted, this is at 90% and above, but once you get to 90%, you have 5 minutes to move your car. Otherwise, you're paying $1 a minute for every extra minute you leave your car plugged in.
Wait,
even if you're still charging.
I can't go from 90 to 100 anymore?
Not at the super busy superchargers.
Wow. Okay, because that was my cheat, man. That was my cheat code. It's like
it takes so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, because going from 0 to 80 basically takes as long as going from 80 to 100.
Yeah.
So you go sit down at a restaurant, and by the time, like, the superchargers are so freaking fast. I go sit down at Cheesecake. By the time the damn bread comes out, my car's like, supercharging almost done. I'm like, what the hell? So I just extend it from 80 to 100% to just like charge all the way. But if they're going to start charging like that, screw it, I'll just charge at home, which I think is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's especially because more cars are adopting the North American charging standard.
Oh, that's right.
Yesterday or the other day when I was driving up here or down here, we're south. When I was driving down here, this relates to both things we just talked about. I stopped at a supercharger, plugged in, went to get a sandwich, came back to my car. It was already ready to go. I hadn't even had a bite of my sandwich yet. But across the street in the same parking lot, there was a non-Tesla supercharger.
Ew.
7 or 8 cars in line.
Oh,
it was crazy. The Tesla ones, like when I showed up, it was
like
full.
Electrify America?
It was one of those. I don't remember which third party, but it was one of those third party chargers.
And it was a supercharger or just a
Sorry,
charger?
no, just like a regular.
Oh, well, that's why they're
third-party
online, because it takes like 8 hours to charge.
Some of them are faster than the Tesla superchargers because some of them go up to 350 kilowatts.
Blasphemy.
It's crazy.
No way. Really?
I think Lucid might be one of the only cars that can
Well, they
take
use
350.
Electrify. Because the car has to take it. Electrify America superchargers. I want to see an electric, because that would be very interesting, because we do need some competition. But oh my god, ultra fast 150k dubs, hyper fast. Oh, nobody knows hyper better than I do.
I think it was those. Yeah, those green ones. So that must be Electrify America.
Electrify America, 350k dubs.
And that's only if your car can take it, which most cannot.
Right. Yeah, because you're just going to overheat the cabling and catch them on fire. So the software will just block that. Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. But then you had you don't have enough of them still. Okay. So, well, that'll be interesting. What I think is brilliant about Elon is by opening up all the superchargers to non-Teslas, people think, oh, it's going to be a lot more congested. It will be at first. But Elon's going to milk so much money from the cow of the U.S. government. He's literally just going to be doing this all day long, milking Joe Biden. Just imagine. Thanks, Joe. No, Janet Yellen.
Your milking technique's not that great. Have you ever milked a cow or a goat?
No.
Oh, yeah. There's a technique to it, man. You don't just...
I have no desire to do that.
Really?
Zero.
All right.
Anyway, okay. So Elon's brilliant. I mean, all the other companies, they're basically going bankrupt. I mean, look at like ChargePoint stock, for example. What's that sucker been doing? Going to zero yet? Well, it's $1.97. It's almost at the same support line that I gave Tattooed Chef 2 years ago.
I remember that company.
Oh,
what was that at its peak over there?
Oh, geez, was that $48? Something like that. $46 for ChargePoint.
Wow.
Yeah, now it's $1.97. Anyway. But anyway, yeah, Tesla's just gonna milk so much money from the Biden administration, and I'm all in for it.
You know, one thing they might potentially be doing that people aren't happy about is charging a subscription for their heated seats.
Tesla?
Yeah.
This was subscription?
Yep. So this is the newest vehicle update that just came out.
Wait, a monthly fee for heated seats?
Yeah. Possibly. It's found in the code of the newest update. So it's for sure they've thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And to some degree, they've done this before. Back in 2022, I didn't know this until I was talking to a friend about it today. She had a Tesla that the standard Model 3 didn't come with rear heated seats.
But the elements are there.
Yes, because they wanted to save money on production. So they added the option to pay a subscription to get now they got rid of that. And so it's free. All those standard Model 3s have free rear heated seats now.
Oh, so they unlocked it.
They unlocked it.
Wow, that's nice. Because these are rear heated.
Yes.
Oh.
This one is about the front heated seats and the heated windshield wipers, which some Teslas have.
The hell? A heated windshield wiper?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought you just turn on the blower at the front.
They have the heated windshield wiper too.
Does that work?
I mean, if they're making the cars with it, maybe. I don't know much about it. Mine doesn't have it.
It sounds like it's reducing margin. They should get rid of that.
And if there's any QR codes on it, get rid of those too. But the reason I don't, expect they'll do this is a couple other companies have tried to do this. BMW has a subscription for their heated seats. People hated them for it.
Dude, people hate micro fees, like the constant, like the little, yeah, you know, like the Airbnb. It's like, it's like, oh my gosh, I thought it was $89 a night. It's actually $489 a night.
Especially with like, I mean, maybe Tesla, but BMWs and cars like these, when you're paying that much money for your car, you want to own your car and all of its features. You don't want to have to pay a subscription for hardware that already exists in your car. So I get that.
It feels like a slap in the face almost. It's like, bro, it's there. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know, okay. No, that's too in your face.
Toyota and Chevy have a subscription fee for the remote start because they have apps also. And if you want to be able to remote start your car, you got to pay a subscription. That's Toyota and Chevy. And Mercedes just announced a $1,200 a year subscription for their acceleration boost.
Oh, to drive faster?
Yeah. The output,
$100 a month to accelerate faster.
Yep.
Bro, that's going to be like, I mean, what are you going to use it 20 times? I mean, that's literally $5 every time you want to floor it. Out the window.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's it increases power output by like 20 to 24%, which shaves off almost a second of the 0 to 60. So it's noticeable, but it's also like,
stupid,
why?
Man, it's so stupid. It's like, no, this is the kind of stuff that's just going to piss people off.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Elon. Don't charge for a little bullshit like that. No. Anyway.
So I got Andrew Tate up last.
Ooh.
I have some more clips.
People love it when I talk about Andrew Tate.
Oh yeah. Everyone always agrees with all of your opinions on Tate. I see it.
Everybody always agrees with all of my opinions, period.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever been upset with me.
Never once seen anyone disagree with you either.
Grant Cardone.
Yep.
Okay, I'll just stop at the list.
So I've got an interview part 2 with Piers Morgan drop today. And I'll go over some clips of that too. But we have a couple more from yesterday's part 1 that I want to cover first. Let me.
I think maybe I'm too vocal. Maybe I just shouldn't speak my mind anymore. Because Michael Burry and Chamath have blocked me. But that's because Michael Burry blocked me. Why did Michael Burry block me? Michael Burry blocked me because he, I think, tweeted sell, and I replied with an eggplant.
Wow, that was enough?
That was enough to get blocked. He probably must have a baby eggplant, and he's a little disappointed when he sees a big one.
Yeah, stock isn't the only thing he's short on. Yeah.
So that got me blocked from him. Chamath, I asked him, which ended up being the right move. So, I mean, fair. But I asked him why he paper-handed Virgin Galactic. Blocked.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess some people are a little sensitive.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. You know, what I want to do is we need to get like busts of everybody who's blocked me.
We do not have enough room in this house.
But like, you know, I mean, think about it. If we had busts back here of like Elon, Burry, Chamath, and then we just like grew that list of like famous people who have blocked Kevin for him speaking his mind.
That's funny.
I'm honored by it. Like some people are like, no, Kevin, you're wrong. You should shut up and not speak your mind. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah, so I mean, the criticism that I've been seeing since Elon blocked,
I wanted Gavin.
Kevin, you were so mean to Elon.
Oh my God. Oh, but whatever.
Tell us how you really feel.
Right. Well, I'm surprised I never got Gavin or CZ though.
Gavin Newsom's never blocked you.
He's never blocked me.
Wow.
I give him credit for that. I actually think, like, I kind of like him for that. Like, good for him. Like, I can't believe I said that because I ran a campaign against him, but like, it's not bad. That's, you know, good for you, man. Good for you. Like, and even when I was like outside their campaign events, like protesting them, like he'd send his staff to give me water bottles. Like, here's some water to keep you going. And I'm like,
wow.
God damn it.
Killing you with kindness.
I know. How could you be mad at him? So good for Gavin.
Someone's calling your idea the Snowflake Hall of Fame.
Oh, we got to do it now. We got to do it. The Snowflake, I love that. And CZ's never blocked me. And I rail on him. I mean, you saw me in this video. I just go off on him. He hasn't blocked me. So okay. I'm waiting for that. Like, I want the trophy. I want to collect them all. I guess I'm not hard enough.
All right, let's watch this Andrew Tate video and have your take, which everybody will agree with, guaranteed. This is from yesterday's part 1 video.
Okay.
You come out of prison, you've got no ability to access any of your assets? How have you been functioning financially since then?
I believe in prayer and I trust in God.
Well, prayer doesn't pay the bills.
And I do my very best.
Yeah,
But prayer doesn't pay the bills.
Unfortunately, absolutely everything I own was seized by the Romanian state. So I'm just going to have to survive and do my very best.
Yeah, but how?
I'm doing my very best, Piers.
Have you got wealthy benefactors helping you?
I'm doing my very best. I wish I had wealthy benefactors. I wish I had people on my side.
Yeah, but you can't function on no income at all.
Seems you can.
How?
I'm doing my very best, Piers.
What does that mean?
It means I'm doing my very best. Absolutely everything I own is taken by the Romanian state. I don't have anything they don't have.
How do you pay for food?
Just have to do my best.
What does that mean?
It means that I believe in God and I pray.
Well, God's not going to pay your bills.
God has been paying my bills so far, it seems. It's amazing how far faith can take you.
So that's his deflection, doing his very best about how he's surviving. Because we talked about that yesterday.
My guess is if all of his assets are seized, that would include everything on his property, right? So in his video, the actual legal ownership of that is probably all in some kind of, like what you do with a bank, receivership. So somebody from the government, when a bank goes into receivership, everything is now owned and controlled by a court-appointed receiver or an FDIC-appointed receiver. So they pay the mortgage on the properties, the massive car loans on the cars. They handle all that. But then what they also do is they pay people salaries. And, if they're, if he pays, so let's say he has what you would do in America is if you have an enterprise like Andrew Tate does, you would have some kind of corporation, you'd probably be paying yourself a salary. So he's probably getting continued distributions. So he can actually his business could make money. It goes into the receivership, but then his sort of salary, so to speak, still flows through. That's probably I just do my best. That would be my guess. If the state still has control of all of his assets, whether justified or not, that would be my guess.
If that's a legal structure, then how come he's deflecting?
Well, because I think it would be very embarrassing for Andrew Tate to say, I live off the little bit of the money that the government gives me, because it makes you sound like you're living on handouts. Like, most people are not going to understand what I said. Certainly, Tate's audience, which is, children, teenagers mostly, and there's some people in their 20s who really want like the motivation and stuff, but then people kind of wake up and go, okay, it's not all just about be a man and be a top G. There's a little bit more to life than that. And I think if he said that, if he came out and said, yeah, I'm living off the checks I get from the government, even if he explained it like, because my assets are in receivership and that's the portion of my salary that I get from basically what my company was paying me of the revenue we get, even if he explained that, people would still be like, what? Are you on welfare, bro? They wouldn't get it. So that's probably why he's deflecting. My complete guess and speculation, I could be entirely wrong, but that would be a reasonable, like if Tate's like, here's how it works, and that's what he explained, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that totally makes sense.
Okay. All right, next one. Do you know what the lover boy is when they talk about lover boy?
Who? What? No.
Okay, I'll just let you watch this and you'll learn from context.
Oh, God.
That you deploy the lover boy method, where you would make women fall in love with you. You would then persuade them to do webcam stuff, right?
TikTok.
Okay, but wait, let's call it webcam stuff, right?
No, let's not call it that. The indictment is about TikTok.
Okay, what would you make the women do? Or what would they do with you?
I don't make anybody do anything.
Okay.
In fact, let's talk about the lover boy method. This is very interesting. Let's imagine the Matrix is pissed off with a said individual who's telling too much truth and everybody is listening to him, and they decide they're going to attack him with sexual assault claims. They say, he's making women we found conversations where he gave advice on how to go viral on TikTok. He's making women do TikTok, but he isn't being horrible to them. He's not hitting them. He's not being mean to them. So what can we do? Let's use the lover boy method. If I was abusive and mean, they wouldn't say lover boy method. You know what lover boy method means? Being nice. He was nice and polite and kind, and they really liked him as a person, and he told them how to do TikTok.
But that's not what the lover boy...
Of course it is.
Andrew, that's not what the lover boy method is.
Absolutely it is.
The lover boy method is where perpetrators woo victims with the prospect of a loving relationship until they can be forced into abusive situations or a form of slavery.
This is garbage.
That's actually what it means.
The lover boy method is being nice to people so that you work together, effectively what they're trying to say here. I was nice to girls who asked me for TikTok advice, and they sang it's the lover boy method. I didn't beat them into doing TikTok. I didn't force them. I didn't threaten them. In fact, I was like, yeah, you're very pretty. You can be pretty famous.
Was there any element of coercion?
How can there be an what does that even mean? Let's be professionals here. What does that even mean?
What do you think coercion means?
I was coerced into this interview. You came along to me and said...
You weren't coerced into this interview.
Yes, I was.
Or don't tell me. The bullying
Piers.
MSM said, Andrew, you've got to do an interview.
No.
I'm going to fly all the way to Romania to do it.
You didn't do that. You used the lover boy method. You said, sir...
The lover boy method?
Yep. Andrew, this is going to be a very interesting interview. We had a good one last time. You're a nice guy. We have some interesting conversations.
I didn't say you were a nice guy.
I'm going to come along.
Wait a minute.
We're going to make some money from this interview.
Wait a minute.
Money will be made for both sides.
Wait a minute.
You lover boyed me.
Wait a minute.
You stole the profit.
Just to be clear, I've had no conversation with you about this interview. And the conversations I've had with your intermediary were very professional. And I said, I would like to do an interview with you.
Were you nice?
I'm always nice.
Lover boy. Can't believe you used niceness to lover boy me because this is a profitable enterprise and I was coerced here.
I make no pretense that I've come all the way from London to Romania to interview you because yes, I want to do it on my show and that will clearly benefit me and my show.
Am I a full-grown consenting adult who decided to do this show?
Yeah, but you're not being coerced into doing
Am I a full-grown consenting adult who decided to do this show?
Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't coerced, correct?
But what's that got to do with what I've asked you?
Because you were nice to me and you're saying that
I wasn't nice to you. I didn't even talk to you.
Being nice is the lover boy method, and that adults have no personal responsibility.
I wasn't nice scolding a child.
They become your slave.
I wasn't nice to you, and I didn't call you a nice guy.
I feel lover boy. I feel lover boy.
Cheers.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Jesus Lord. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. In fairness here, Piers did a great job trying to put this together because Tate very quickly started throwing every lash out he could. So it's, well, I have a different definition of the lover boy. And I just told girls they could be pretty famous. I was coerced into this interview. You're lover boying me. Whoa. You have to step back and take this apart. Okay, so first of all, we have to figure out the definition of a lover boy. Okay, it doesn't matter. What matters is what Tate did illegal or not? That's what matters. Did he force people to work for him? Did he rape them or not? If there's evidence of rape or forcing somebody to work for him to be a cam girl or whatever, then that's a crime. TikTok girl, right? If the girls wanted to latch on to his fame, which is entirely possible too, it's like, hey, he's going to make me famous and then I'm going to get rich and we'll profit share. Well, then that's a consenting relationship. Then that's okay. That's not a crime. Then give Tate his shit back and leave him alone. So obviously we don't know because nobody's seen the evidence. If anything, we just have, women's statements that, well, no, I worked for him consensually. But then again, it's like, well, how much, of course, you don't want to sandbag your own reputation working for Tate to throw him under the bus. So it's like, at some point we need real evidence. So we're not going to be able to reconcile the lover boy allegation. It is very clear, though, that Tate started with this, I was coerced. And then he literally said, okay, I wasn't coerced. So he backtracked on that. It just shows you his mentality of argument is very much, I'm going to sound harsh and legit and aggressive. Okay, I'm going to backtrack on that one. But let's forget about that. You're a lover boy, me. It's chaos theory is what it is. That's how Andrew Tate operates. It's chaos theory. It's the theory that whoever screams the loudest and shouts the most allegations will win. Piers actually did a very good job at trying to reconcile what happened here. No, Piers never talked to him directly. No, Andrew Tate was not coerced to do this interview. But I think where we really go here is give us some evidence. Otherwise, we'll never know. Otherwise, this is just all a bunch of nonsense. I don't know. What's your take? I talked for a while.
My take on Tate? I think the reason he took it back is he said you lover boyed me, and then he was kind of like, oh, that's gonna sound like I'm weak and manipulated, and it's like, well, no, I'm a consenting adult and I chose to be here because we're both here to make money, and you said I was a nice guy. And he's like, no, I didn't, but then he talked over that anyway.
It's really interesting. Okay, anything else, Tate?
I got one more. The other one I have is a little bit too long, so I'll just show you the end of this. This is from part 2.
Okay.
And there's a lot of Israel-Palestine on part 2.
All right, let's see it.
I get very passionate. And just for context too, when they're talking about he and him over here, they're talking about Ben Shapiro.
To Ben, I said people who have done their own fighting and seen their own violence and have seen people bleed out in the street from a stab wound are not going to be so smart and so quick to sit behind a desk and call for the death of innocent people. It's disgusting what's happening. I don't want anyone to die on either side. And when I come along as a peacemaker and say this is insane, because he's a warmonger, because he has chosen blinkers and sees one side of the argument and refuses to accept the humanity of Palestinians, he says I'm a bad person for calling for peace.
Well, you know why? Because he'll probably listen to this interview and say, this guy can't even describe Hamas as terrorists.
And for context on that one, at the beginning of the interview, for like the first 20 minutes, he refused to say the October 7th attacks were an act of terrorism or that Hamas were terrorists.
Who said?
Tate refused to acknowledge
Tate,
that.
okay.
He was calling them, he's like, well, one person's terrorist, another person's freedom fighter, and that was his take. So that's what he's referring to here.
If Ben Shapiro thinks bad of
And
me,
if you don't think what happened to the people in Israel on October the 7th is an act of terrorism,
did I not just say
then you are,
I want all people
then
to
you are
stop
just
dying?
you are just as partisan to one side as you believe Ben Shapiro
Did
is
I
to the
not
other.
just say I want all people to stop dying? Piers, don't interrupt this. It's 2 sentences. I want all people to stop dying. However, I understand what is going to happen when you create a pressure cooker. That is my answer, and it's extremely professional. I don't want anyone to die, and because I don't want anyone to die, because I'm a peacemaker, because I'm a humanist, I understand you cannot lock people in an open-air prison for an undetermined period of time without provoking terrorism.
So out of interest, what would you have done if you'd been Israel after October the 7th?
That's a really interesting question, and I think there's people who are more qualified than me to answer.
Given that Hamas last week said, we're going to try and do the same thing again and again and again, what would you do to defend the people of Israel?
Good question. They have the Iron Dome, which is largely effective. I think that their border security is usually effective. It's very interesting that it wasn't on.
So you would say they would do nothing other than tighten up security?
I think if I was truthfully, I'll answer the question. If I was truthfully in charge of Israel, I would have found out how our border was penetrated. I would have made sure that was impossible to do. I would have had large conversations and discourse during that period, which would probably take weeks to ensure that my border was impenetrable because we were at no genuine threat of a repeat attack. And then I would make it clear that there will be some repercussion unless we can come to peace terms. I don't think
Hamas doesn't want peace.
Of course not. But I'm saying
that's their stated position.
Of course.
So does it mean
okay,
peace
you're
with
asking
Hamas?
what I do. I would have found out. First things first. I'm a man. So first things first, you fix the problem. Okay, our border's been penetrated. How do we make sure that doesn't happen again?
Sure,
How did it happen? Internal investigation.
Of course.
Let's make sure the border is secure. Now our civilians are safe. Our civilians are safe, which buys us time. Let's have a conversation and see if we can actually reason with Hamas. If we can't, then there might be some military intervention.
Then what?
But there certainly wouldn't be bombing hospitals, cruise missiling refugee camps. There wouldn't be any of the things that's going on now. Absolutely
You
not.
wouldn't try and attack the people that
No,
do it.
because this is a rushed and emotional response. And that's what I would have prevented. I would have made sure as a man I didn't make a rushed and emotional response.
So you'd be more like Neville Chamberlain trying to do peace with the Nazis and Winston Churchill trying to kill them.
Well,
yeah,
that's an interesting question.
You're an appeaser, not a warrior.
Well, I still think I'm a warrior, but I think that when you're a warrior, you have to be very capable and.
But that's what Neville Chamberlain's view was. We should do peace with the Nazis.
You have to be very understanding of your power, and you have to use it responsibly. And just like I said earlier, when I'm trying to be responsible about what I say to the young men of the world, I would understand as Israel, I must be responsible with my massive military might to make sure I don't kill civilians. And I would sit and try and make a measured response, and I'd be a professional, and I would consider them human beings, and I would secure my border and try and come up with a plan better than, oh no, I'm mad, I'm emotional now, let's go kill everyone. I think that's the wrong response. Correct. I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Wow. I don't think Tate's argument is poorly constructed. It's actually an argument that we made early on in this podcast, not today, but in prior episodes. When the attacks first happened, we said, I mean, there are extremes in terms of how Israel could reply. On one extreme, it's here's a nuclear weapon, you're gone. On the other extreme, it's do nothing. A little bit further in from the do nothing side is strengthen your border, larger buffer zone, and demand repayment for some form of punishment or whatever. Tate is very much taken a very very much that sort of approach versus the approach which Israel's taken. So if there's a middle point, Israel's definitely on the closer to the we dropped a nuclear bomb side than on the do nothing side. That's obvious here, and I don't disagree that the relatively indiscriminate killing of many civilians, which we understand the counter argument as well, Hamas is using them as human shields, is terrible. Like it's terrible on all sides. Yeah, Tate's not wrong. Israel has chosen to go on the more aggressive side. Tate chooses to go on the less aggressive side, which very interesting. How Piers knows how to stir the pot. He goes, so you're an appeaser, not a warrior.
I loved that line.
That was a
he
great
knew
line.
exactly how to rub him the wrong way.
Yep. I have to credit to both. I mean, Tate's not running Israel, so it doesn't matter. We don't really have to debate that. But Tate he has a well-constructed argument here. It's the more passive approach. It is the more appeasement approach. And Piers nailed that. So Piers is a good interviewer. Good interview.
I've never, personally, I've never liked him too much, but I've definitely had more respect for him after watching this interview. I'm like, you're very, very good at this.
He's good.
Although one of the comments in the first one, the top YouTube comment is like, thanks, Piers Morgan, for coming to Andrew Tate's show.
Yeah. I mean, let's be clear. The amount of support that Tate has over Piers is massive. Most people think of Piers as just like a D-bag. But he's also got good perspective, so I'll watch.
Yeah. I think Tate had a pretty logical reaction to it.
Yeah.
It was really weird that he brought it back to because I'm a man.
God, yeah, jeez. Well, come on.
It would have been a W response if he didn't, for some reason, bring that up.
I agree with that. So if you were a woman saying that line, are you weak? Because he's taking the weaker approach here, right? So if you were a woman and you were advocating for the more offensive approach, are you mad or are you angry? What? Why is sex coming into this at all?
Yeah,
it's stupid. I hate that stuff, man.
Yeah,
but it's because he's appealing to the 15-year-olds who are like, I want to be a man. Oh, my voice is cracking.
Overall, good interview. I watched both part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is a lot shorter. Like I said, a lot of it is on Arab Israeli stuff, but actually really good interview overall.
Yeah, I love that. All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Oh, crap.
Hey, Ken, can you get the little thingy thing?
Sorry,
I forgot to get the thingy thing that's hanging up on the thing.
I think I can pull it up, but
I'll grab it real quick.
Let me see if I can get it really quick. Or that works. Look at that. You're too fast. Oh, I got it on my computer at the same time.
That was a tie.
Yeah, it was a tie. That's good. That was good. That's pretty fast.
All right, Ken, drop the beat.
All right, we need the beat. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial nor real estate advice for you. It is also not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by us. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I also personally operate and actively manage ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Market Open live stream at 5:25 on the Meet Kevin Live channel. See you there. Goodbye.